I feel like we're on this earth to serve others. That's our purpose, and it's our responsibility when we're in these positions for however long that we are to help those around us. It's truly woven into our DNA at Lucas Oil.
Welcome back to Innovate or Evaporate, where we explore the relentless pace of change and the innovators who drive it. I'm your host, Toph Day. Most people, when they think about a legacy brand, imagine a museum piece, something to be preserved behind glass, admired, protected, definitely not disrupted. Today's guest took the reins of one of the most iconic industrial empires in America, a company that ships hundreds of premium products across more than 48 countries, with its name stamped on stadiums and the engines of anyone demanding the absolute best. But she didn't just inherit a title. She walked in the door over a decade ago as an outside marketing consultant. She had to build her credibility from scratch in a hyper-traditional industry. 12 years later, she is rewriting the corporate playbook. As president of Lucas Oil Products, she recently engineered the historic relocation of their global headquarters from California to Indiana, scaled their footprint into a multi-year NFL global partnership, and built a multi-million-dollar medical and community legacy from the ground up. And she's doing all of this while co-leading the empire side by side with her partner in business and life, her husband, Morgan. This is a masterclass in balancing 30 years of heritage with aggressive modern growth. Katie Lucas, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an
Absolutely.
honor.
I'm so fired up. Your journey has so much complexity in it, and I don't even know where to start. So we were chatting before we went live here. You traveled around the country a little bit when you were growing up.
Yes, I did.
So talk to us about that. Just like let's spend a few minutes on childhood and like what shaped you as a person.
Yes. Well, I will say I did not believe in birth order until I had my own children. My mom always told me about it. I'm like, no, that's made up. I 100% subscribe to birth order and the difference in personalities. So I was the prototypical firstborn, rule follower, wanted to overachieve at everything I did. But I will say I am incredibly fortunate and lucky that I had two parents that loved me deeply, even throughout a divorce. I always felt loved. I think that's where a lot of the confidence comes from.
That's really amazing. There was a study I read a long time ago that talked about children who go through one or even two, what's the word I'm looking for, like stressful events, are typically like much better ready for life and how to deal with conflict or how to deal with stress or anxiety and things of that nature.
I would absolutely agree with that, right? You just have to be more resilient.
That's the word I was looking for.
And that's, I lived this idyllic life where nothing ever went wrong and everything was perfect. And then all of a sudden, everything was not.
Yeah.
So it absolutely teaches you resilience, how to move on, and how to still appreciate life even when it's hard.
How did, what are some of the, is there one or two things that kind of pop out in your mind that you took with you into early adulthood from that experience?
Service, I think something that was instilled at us at a very young age, service, gratitude, no matter what you're going through, there's always something to be grateful for.
Yeah.
So I think those are probably the two biggest things that have stuck with me.
So then you made your way to the Kelley School of Business,
yes,
right, at IU?
Yes.
So did you look at multiple schools or was it like, I want to go to IU no matter what?
I only applied
and you're sporting
Indiana Red.
An amazing Indiana Red sport coat today.
Actually, IU is the only school that I applied to.
Yeah.
I just knew from a young age that's where I wanted to go, and I knew I wanted to do business. So Kelley was the path that I took.
So then, when you got out of school, you went to work with the Colts.
Yes.
I think, right? So what were you thinking when you were in school and you imagined your dream job? Did you end up taking the path out of school that you imagined?
Yes, funny you say that. So I remember it was my junior year in college. My family's always been a big sports family. We've had season tickets to no matter where we lived, we always had season tickets to all the professional sports franchises. And we were sitting at a Colts game my junior year, and my mom was like, okay, what do you want to do? And I remember looking at her and I'm like, if I could pick any job in the world, I would do branding and marketing for the Colts. And as luck would have it, my very first job, I was able to do that. I mean, I started as an intern in ticketing for a few months, and then I was hired on to do corporate sales for the Colts.
That's awesome. What I love about this is you go to the Kelley School of Business and you mentioned like branding and marketing. These things are so tightly coupled. And a lot of times I think people historically think about like business or finance or something like that's somehow separated and different. from branding, whatever it might be in a company. And all of these things have to work together.
Absolutely. And I think the irony of how life works out, right? I feel like Forrest was a genius when it came to branding. And so when I first met him, it was just so interesting to pick his brain. I just learned so much from him because that was already my background. And then to be around someone who has done it so insanely well was just a dream come true.
So I want to go back to, I want to come back to that in a second because I've heard stories about how Lucas Oil first started, and I'm just curious if they're true. I've heard so many incredible stories about how it started. So when you're at the Colts, you corporate sales.
Yes.
And so those interactions with, so you're in your early 20s, and so you're interacting with people to say, hey, this is an experience that we can provide you, right? You should get a suite or you should buy tickets, et cetera. What are some of the things that you learned early on that worked or maybe didn't work when you were engaging with folks to try to get them to come buy an experience?
I think one of the things that worked really well and still to this day that we utilize is the power of relationships, right? It can't be transactional. And because if it is transactional, especially with an NFL franchise, if it's based on the excitement and winning, as soon as you start losing, they're gone. And so, which happens, right?
With any team, right?
Exactly. And so it's so important to have that relationship, right? What are two things you can come together and build together outside of just the partnership? And we certainly utilize that at Lucas Oil to this day is what can we build together? How can we serve together? What can we do better together than we can do individually?
Were there any moments in there where you're like, with a deal that was on the edge and like one thing to share with us that either got it over the goal line or it fell apart?
Yeah. Well, one of the best stories is I was at the Colts when Forrest made the deal for naming rights. So I don't know if you know this story or not, but it was so funny. I mean, that complete deal was based on a relationship that Forrest had with Tom Zupancic, who was leading the Colts. Because at that point, Lucas Oil was a very, very small sponsor of the Colts. And Forrest had such a strong relationship and trust in Tom Zupancic that's what sealed the deal. And so that's where it's something you're talking about, a multi-million-dollar sponsorship built solely on trusting the person.
Yes.
And I think that is, you can't lose that, right? That just, it's imperative to continue that.
I love that. So let's go back a little bit then down memory lane of Lucas Oil. So here's my understanding of the story, which may be totally wrong. Did Forrest used to drive trucks?
Yes, he did.
He used to do semi-trucks. And was it cross-country or regionally?
Yeah.
So cross-country, he got frustrated with the quality of products and decided, I'm going to try to make my own. Was it engine oil or what was it first?
An additive, yes.
An additive,
yes.
Okay.
And so that's how he started. He was very frustrated, and anyone that knows him, he had a temper, and we loved it about him, right? He had a lot of passion. He was so passionate. We loved it. And he was really frustrated, and he was like, I can do this better. And that's really the impetus of Lucas Oil, is finding a problem and solving it. And so he made this product. It worked. He was having trouble getting the semis across the country on the really hot days. It worked. Charlotte was like, you should sell this. This is pretty good. And so that's how it started. As simple as that. And so he started going into truck stops, selling it. I mean, Morgan will tell the story. He was in the backseat of the car when they would go to truck stop with Forrest selling
That's so
product.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How did he, from the chemistry standpoint, like does he have a knack for chemistry, or did he engage some outside consultants to help him?
Outside consultants, but he's very, very smart. He read all the time. He was constantly learning. So it was pretty exciting to just obviously I was not there, but just hearing him tell the story, he still would light up when he would tell the story.
Do you remember what year did he start?
1989.
89. So it's been 30-ish plus or minus years ago. That's absolutely amazing. I love it when people, when they have expertise because of a pain that they experience day in, day out, and they're like, I'm going to go solve this. Yeah. That's amazing. So you're at the Colts, and you're there for what?
I was there for 4 years. 4 years. Just so happens to be at the height of everything. So that was Super Bowl. That was, when Peyton won all the games in a row. It was the best time to be there.
I agree.
So fun.
So I was at that first Super Bowl.
Okay.
And
in the rain.
And I loved every second of it. I think I was somehow I scored 6 row tickets at the goal line or something.
Oh, wonderful.
And Esther ran that kickoff back, and I'm like, oh Lord, what'd I do?
Just went silent. Yeah.
And the rest of it was awesome.
One of my favorite lifetime memories was hearing Prince sing Purple Rain in the rain.
Yes.
Like, I will never forget that.
It was amazing. Oh my gosh. You're putting me down memory lane right now. So you were at the Colts for 4 years. When did you get interested in Lucas Oil?
So from there, one of my clients hired me away. So I went to Creative Marketing Solutions as their director of business development. And then I met Morgan. I actually knew Forrest and Charlotte first. They tried to set us up for years before. And when Morgan and I started dating, that's when I was like, okay, how is this going to work? Because he was racing full time. So he was traveling all the time. And so, Forrest and Charlotte asked me to start consulting. So that way I could travel with Morgan, because I'm like, I'm still going to work. I'm not quitting. I love you, Morgan, but I'm not traveling. I'm not going to follow you around. And so it worked out really well. And so I started, working with the race teams on their PR, their marketing, their branding. Social media was really getting up and started then. So it was a lot of fun, and it was a very natural way to start getting involved in the company.
What year is this roughly?
Oh, goodness. I've been at Lucas Oil for 14 years.
For 14 years?
Mm-hmm.
Now, does that 14 years include when you were an outside marketing consultant?
Yes.
Okay, got it. And so then, was Lucas Oil your only customer, your only client, or did you have other clients in that transition?
I started consulting business. I had a couple other clients, but it was full-time. I mean, Lucas Oil was full-time.
And so then that was all focused on marketing branding. Marketing
and branding, learning the business. Morgan and I would travel with Forrest to all of his meetings. Morgan always says learning by osmosis.
Yes.
With the family business, we knew at some point we would be asked to take bigger roles, but we just wanted to learn as much as we could.
I love that. Like, the more that we get to know a business on the ground floor, right? Absolutely. Whatever that type of business is, getting our hands dirty. What are some of the experiences you can share with us that you did in those first few years that people might not imagine? Like, out there on the road, and you're getting deep in the business to understand it, like factories or the racing teams or whatever it might be.
We did it all, and that's what we knew, because that's what Forrest and Charlotte did, right? Like, that was the next evolution, is we're going to learn the same way that Forrest and Charlotte learned. And it was really fun, and it was exciting. At that time, we didn't have kids, so we had a lot of free time. But yeah, it was a great experience.
So what would be back then? What would be a typical week? What would it look like?
We would probably fly to a few meetings with Forrest, because Forrest, there was no other children that wanted to learn the family business. And so it was really just Morgan. And so he really took Morgan under his wing, wanting to teach him everything, learn. There's a lot about relationships. We go back to relationship building, being on the line. We'd walk the plant floor. Forrest did that all the time. So we're walking around, meeting the people on the line, doing the things that we need to do if we're going to lead the business one day to gain the trust, because we knew it can't stay the same. We're going to make big changes.
Yeah.
And the only way to be able to do that and get the buy-in from your team is to have the trust.
So start off with a fuel additive. Mm-hmm. And then how many products do you have today?
Well over 300.
Well over 300. Mm-hmm. So in some of those early days, how did the team think about and pick, like, what new products that you were going to try to manufacture?
It's as simple as problem solving. If they saw a problem that no one was solving, they fixed it. It was truly that simple, and that's still what we do today. When we create new products, we see something. Our clients or our customers will tell us, "Hey, here's a need," or someone makes this product, but it doesn't really work very well. And so, one of the things that is imperative at Lucas Oil is that we make products that work. Our tagline is "It works," and that's for a reason. We want to make excellent products, and so either there's a hole in the market that we're going to fill, or the current product that's out there is not great. And so we're going to make it better, and we're going to fix the problem.
And so then your manufacturing was in California as well? Or was that here?
We had both. So for a very long time, it was in California and in Corydon.
In Corydon, Indiana. That was the first state capital, I think, right?
It was,
of Indiana.
Yes.
So how was California selected for manufacturing? And that's where the corporate office was as well, right?
So Forrest technically started in Indiana, and then when he was making the products, there was one specific ingredient from the product that he could only source in California.
Got it.
So they picked up and moved to California.
Yeah.
And so they were there since 1989 in California.
What part of California was that?
Riverside-ish area.
Okay.
Corona, California.
And is that where Morgan mainly grew up then?
Yes.
How old was he when they moved to California?
3-ish.
3?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so always had his roots here, and Forrest had his roots here in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
So he starts growing the business. Do you know what was the second or third product that he chose to add on?
Fuel treatment.
Fuel treatment.
So stabilizer was our first, and fuel treatment. And those still to this day are 2 best-selling products.
So I've been buying Lucas Oil products for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Well, absolutely. And part of the reason is I just love the way the packaging looks.
Oh.
And I just have trust
Mm-hmm.
in the packaging. How do you, so relationships,
Mm-hmm.
and there's also this word called trust, right? How do you think about, do you go through massive focus groups? Like how do you parlay the brand into packaging and like
Mm-hmm.
the lettering, the font, or the colors? What are some of the types of things that go into that process?
So originally it just started, the original label is what Forrest liked, right? He always said, he's like, we need to have a pretty elementary reading level. It needs to be clear and concise. But, the last decade, we have certainly done a lot of focus groups because we need to continually change and elevate what we're doing, but we're never going to lose the history and heritage.
Yeah.
Right? We will always be family-led, American-made, and community-focused. And so our core stays the same, but we certainly have to elevate what we're doing. And so we're using, when we do our focus groups, we also use some of our ambassadors.
And who are those folks, your ambassadors?
So we have a lot of different drivers. So Cynthia Gauthier drives our Monster truck in Monster Jam. So she's one of those, and she is also an engineer.
I was thinking drivers like long haul, cross country.
Oh, no.
I got
those
you.
Too. But it's like are the race car drivers that are using it in their everyday vehicles as well as their race cars.
How many different racing series are you involved in?
Not as many as we used to be. But still quite a bit. And we're never going to leave that. That's our grassroots, right? That's, Forrest raced, Morgan raced. That's core of who we are. Yeah. But we certainly have expanded.
Was drag racing one of the originals, or was that not the original?
Morgan drag race. So that's how he grew up racing. He started drag racing when he was 12. So he did it for a very, very long time. But Forrest did the dirt racing on dirt tracks.
Oh, so he's like sliding the whole way around.
Yes.
I'm Mayor Chris Jensen. The companies shaping tomorrow aren't waiting for opportunity. They're choosing environments built for performance. In Noblesville, Innovation Mile connects talent, infrastructure, and innovation leaders in a community designed for growth. Because where you build matters. See why forward-thinking companies are choosing Noblesville at choosenoblesville.com/innovate. Noblesville, all about you.
So when I watch, just a quick moment, how much time did you spend at the drag racing tracks?
Well, I didn't know it was a sport until I met Morgan. He told me what he did, and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I was in Indy, so I'm like, I knew NASCAR, IndyCar, and F1 was here for a while.
Yeah.
And he was like, drag race. I'm like, honey, I don't know what that is. And he was like, it's a long, skinny cars with the parachutes. I'm like, oh, okay. So, but I will say the very first race, it has you hooked. The power, the noise, it's
just
not like
soul.
Anything else. Yes. Yeah. Have you ever been, I don't know if you've been to a
So
drag
I have
race?
never been to one live, and I watch on TV sometimes. I'm like, these folks are crazy.
They are. Yes.
You're just a rocket blaster on the back of it.
Top speed, I think, was 333 miles an hour.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
It is.
All right. So you're doing marketing consulting for Lucas Oil for a number of years. Mm-hmm. When did you start to think about, I want to join this company? I want to make this my career, my journey?
I think when Morgan and I, when we got really serious and got engaged and got married, that obviously we knew that was the path that Forrest and Charlotte wanted for us. But, when we first started in a family business, there wasn't an urgency to titles or anything like that. It was just, how do we learn? How do we problem solve? Where can I make a big impact? Coming in, as Morgan or, Morgan's wife at the time, there's that stigma, and you need to outwork, you need to outperform, you need to do that to earn your place in the business, right? And so it was just making an impact wherever we could in the beginning.
And so what was your first role as full-time joining?
So it was strategy. That was really where I could come in and make a big difference, just given my background. And we really hadn't focused on that. Everything was so day to day. That was the biggest, I think, project that I took on.
And so this is 10 years ago, roughly. Mm-hmm. So if you think about strategy from 10 years ago and strategy today, are there some changes in your thinking or the team's thinking, the company's thinking, and how you approach strategy?
Absolutely. And we were really going from, even though at that point the company had been around 25 years, we were still, for all intents and purposes, acting as a startup.
Yeah.
Because the company just grew so quickly, there wasn't time to think and to plan. And so the first few years was just getting structure in place, right? There's a lot to do.
Yes.
Processes, procedures, all the things that would enable us to grow. It's not super fun to put policies and procedures in place, especially for people that hadn't had it for 25 years. But, I knew that there's no way to scale if we didn't have that in place. So the first few years were that. And then certainly we've continued to hire really great people around us in order to set really great strategy.
So in those early days, I'm so with you, right? When you get to that inflection point, you have to start putting policy and procedure in place. How did you think about talent? And the old saying of getting the right butts in the right seats. Were there some folks internal and you had to bring some folks in external? Like as you started to think about how you're going to shape that team to maneuver through this inflection point, what are a few of the high level drivers that you're like, we need this type of skill set to help us get through this?
That, I think, was the hardest part because we had a lot of people that had been with Lucas Oil for a very long time that just weren't in the right seats. And, as a team, we took our leadership team, Jim Collins spoke and went through, the right people in the right seats. And that it was really hard. It was hard to make those decisions, but we knew that it was best for the long term of the company. So we had to say goodbye to a lot of people that had been with us a while.
Yeah.
And I remind our team all the time, we've got to surround ourselves with people that are smarter than we are. Like I
so agree with that.
Not want to be the smartest person in the room, right? We need subject matter experts in all these different areas, and don't be intimidated by someone that has more experience or expertise. That's what we need.
So Jim Collins was a Good to Great book, right?
Yes.
So it's one of my favorite books of all time. And my takeaway, and this, I don't know I think this was his takeaway, but my takeaway from reading the whole thing was that like what made Tractor Supply was the number one performing public stock at the time where he studied. And he could only come away with where the CEO was not like arrogant and would give credit to others. And there are leaders out there who want to be the smartest person in the room. And I don't understand that because that makes your job harder, it seems.
Absolutely. And it's no judgment because I know it's easier for us because it's a family business and, we're privately held. So we don't have a boardroom to answer to. So I don't ever want to pass judgment on anyone. But it's hard to understand why you'd want to be the smartest person in the room. Because to your point, it makes your job exponentially harder.
It does. And then you have to have the teamwork, right? So you bring, I love that. You bring Jim Collins in, you guys have a speaking chat. He inspires folks. You look at the team, you figure out who were able to, who's able to help keep us moving forward and bring in other people. What, when you're bringing in those other folks over time, I mean, coming into a family-owned business, legacy, right? Incredible product. What are some of the things that you use to recruit that talent? Because they're probably not looking. The people you're bringing in are probably not looking for jobs,
Correct.
right? So what are some of the things, you're probably going to tell me relationships again. But,
No, I will not.
But how do you go find those people and then sell them on this is why you should leave your amazing opportunity to come to this amazing opportunity?
Honestly, for right now, at least, I think what draws a lot of people to Lucas Oil is the culture that we built. It's family first, and those aren't just words. We mean it. There is work, I'm not going to ever say balance, but work-life flexibility.
Yeah.
We genuinely appreciate our team members. I mean, and that started, with Forrest he bought Christmas presents for every single person, spouse, and child that was part of that company. And we still do that to this day. And it's just something that we could not do what we do without every single person at Lucas Oil. And we want to show our people that. And I think people can feel the appreciation.
That is amazing. By the way, for everybody out there, my favorite Christmas gift of all time is a book of Lifesavers.
A book of Lifesavers.
A book of Lifesavers.
Okay.
They're little red book things. And as a kid, we would get those every year for Christmas. And now I switched for a couple of years to the book of Gummy Lifesavers.
Okay.
But anyways.
But now you're back.
But now I'm back to the hard Lifesavers. So that's amazing. How big is the team today?
We have roughly 600 employees. So we're still relatively small.
And they're located all across the globe?
Correct. Yes.
So, and then you have distributors as well.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
How many roughly distributors do you have?
Oh my word. So those would technically be our customers, hundreds.
Okay, so all of your no direct sales, all
No,
through channels and distributors?
Mhm.
And then are those distributors set up with geographic territories or with product lines, or how are they set up?
Both. So we have some like factory motor parts or Highline will sell to Amazon and Walmart, but then we have others that are more geographically based.
Okay.
And then some, big chains are worldwide.
Okay. And then so how has the tariffs, has that had an impact on your business?
Tariffs have not. We were pretty fortunate. Only one of our parts had a very small tariff, but having the strait shut down and refineries shut down has greatly impacted us. So our cost of goods as of Friday, we're up 23% year to date. So that was higher even than COVID. So we're navigating very high price increases right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then how far in advance do you have to buy like your raw ingredients to make these various? Is there a rough
We
time
keep
frame?
reserves. I mean, everything is different. All the ingredients are different, but we are very fortunate. We have a lot of space in Corden. We have 2 very large warehouses in Corden where we can manage, maintain, and then we also own a rail line that brings product in for us.
Okay, that's fascinating. I didn't know that. So when did that come about?
Oh, that's been there for a while. There's a lot of companies that Forrest has purchased over the years. There's a golf course. We own a golf course, Speedway.
What golf course is that?
Down in Marengo.
Okay.
So there's a lot of investment down where Forrest and Charlotte are from.
Okay.
Yes.
So can we go through a few of those businesses real quick?
Sure.
Just highlight a few of them.
Yes.
So, and you have a parent company then?
Lucas is
like
our
Lucas Holdings?
We have a family trust, Lucas, and then Lucas Oil is obviously the largest part of that.
All right.
But
so we have a golf course, we have a rail line. Let's talk about the rail line for a quick moment.
Yes.
How do you buy a rail line?
It was thankfully pre-existing, and Forrest saw it and was like, we can easily get our product because we buy, we make a lot of product, and so we need a lot of product coming in. And so it's an easy way for us to get product in bulk, a quick way to do that and a cheap way to do that.
And so then is that the locomotives and all the cars or the actual line, the actual railroad?
Both, yep.
The actual tracks as well? Oh, that's impressive. That's really amazing.
I will say the thing that we get, I think, the most joy from, so Forrest grew up showing cattle. And so his dream was to have a ranch. So there is a Lucas family ranch in Missouri.
And you sell that meat?
Yes.
So can I go buy that?
Not commercially.
Not commercially?
Maybe eventually. That may be a new growth path for us.
If I drive down there and get it myself, maybe?
But it's a beautiful piece of property, and it's a working ranch and cattle company.
And where is that?
In Missouri.
In Missouri?
In Wheatland. Uh-huh.
Okay. So my mind's blown. That's awesome. I've never met someone that owned a railroad. That is really cool. In the small town I grew up in, sometimes the trains would stop by the grain elevator, and we would go talk to the engineers, and they'd let us come up in the locomotive and look around. Mm-hmm. It was awesome. Yeah. All right. So you're at Lucas Oil for a while, and now you move into Chief Administrative Officer. And then you become president. So I'm curious about the role of Chief Administrative Officer versus president, and kind of what those main areas of focus on are and how they change for you professionally and personally.
Honestly, I was already acting as president when I was CAO, and our team was like, you need to change the title to accurately reflect what you're doing.
Yeah.
So the great thing, Morgan and I, we lead together, and we have the same vision and mission, but how we look at things is vastly different. So he grew up racing on cars, on automotive. He can, he'll be in a car, there'll be some noise, and he'll know exactly what is wrong and how to fix it. Yeah. Where I don't care if I study for 20 years, I'm not going to know that because I've worked on cars for 30 years. Where I have the business background. Yeah. And so we can come, from different angles, and it works out very, very well. 99% of the time, working with your spouse, right? Because we come at it from different angles. And so, I have historically taken on, marketing, finance, legal, HR, all of that. And Morgan likes to focus on sales. That's when he started in Lucas Oil. That's where he really got his feet wet.
That's awesome. So that's exactly where I want to go next. So let's dive into that. So we won't go deep on the family, being in business with your husband. We'll leave that, offline. But because it's really hard being in business with family, right? It's just different dynamics come into play. But what you just hit on, I think, is so important because everybody has their skill sets that they're good at. And And so it sounds like it was natural in this situation where you have these very distinct skill sets. He has very distinct skill sets. So maybe talk about the importance for the audience and listeners out there who are dealing with this right now, even with business partners that are not family members. You know, there's co-founders, and there might be 2, there might be 4. And the critical importance of different people owning, you know, it doesn't mean there's not collaboration or whatever, but different folks that own finance or sales or whatever, marketing, whatever it might be. Maybe share some experiences on how you think about that and kind of keeping these swim lanes. If
Well, and I think you have to have one person accountable for whatever it is, right? And that kind of goes back to, you know, strategy 101. If you have a goal in mind and no one's really the one leading the ship, it's not going to get done. And so someone has to be accountable, but it certainly requires teamwork.
Yeah. What are some of the things? I mean, you're privately held, so we won't talk about revenue, but like, what are some of the critical things? You're probably still, there's future inflection points, I'm sure, in the business. So now you have scale, right? 600 employees and hundreds of distributors, et cetera, 48 countries plus. What are some of the things that keep you up at night now? You've already achieved this success that less than 1% of companies get to, probably. But what are some of the things that no doubt you still stay up at night, think about things? What keeps you up at night today?
It's where we're going to go. And I think so we've worked really, really hard the last 6 or 7 years of being as efficient as possible. We've made really hard decisions, moving headquarters. We've closed and sold a lot of other, you know, ancillary businesses so we could focus on Lucas Oil. All of that to lead to where we are now. So now we built up the cash reserves. We're very efficient. Our operating margins are on fire. Like, we're in a great position. And so now it's like, where do we go? Do we play it safe or do we take a really big risk? You know, what's our appetite for that? You know, we've never had debt ever in the company's history. And which is amazing, right? But then it's like, if we're going to scale and grow, is this something that we have an appetite to take on? So it's really exciting, but it makes, I think, some of our team a little bit nervous because it's easy to stay where we are because, you know, we're successful, knock on wood, you know, continuing to grow. But that's playing it too safe, right? We don't want incremental growth. We want big growth.
So are there, without spilling any secrets, but are there verticals that you think about maybe bolting on or, you know, this is an adjacent industry right here that's a natural for us? Maybe we start looking at various companies in that sector.
Yes, certainly. And we've talked about that. And then we're sometimes hesitant too. We're in a very pivotal point in our market where things are changing quickly, right? And, you know, we were never afraid of EVs, but a lot of people in our industry were. But, you know, hybrids here. And so we're creating hybrid products. But with that, we need to make sure that we're not just looking at something that's going to have us grow for 1 to 2 years, but really long term. And so we don't want to get ourselves in a situation where we buy something that makes sense right now, but in 3 years is obsolete. So I think it's just really taking the time to figure out what the next steps are.
You know, one of the most exciting things I think is in front of us here is the physical economy. So you're in the physical economy, like hard tech, you know, technology. And it's with modern technology and with, you know, with atoms and like literally molecules and how we can make things differently or maybe test things faster. The integration of like modern technology, AI with physical product, we don't even know what we're in for, right? So like, are there any things you guys are thinking about around that?
Yes. So we are utilizing AI. And that's one of the things that you have to, right? And I think and I don't remember who said this, but it was a great quote. You know, people are terrified of AI, and maybe rightfully so, we don't know yet, right? But it's, you know, AI is not going to take your job, but someone that knows AI is going to take your job.
Amen.
And I don't
totally
know
agree.
who said that, but it's so true. And it's us starting to really utilize it and not be scared of it and just see advancements of what we can do. And one of the things that we're also really proud of is the R&D team that we're continuing to build up. We have some rock stars on our R&D team and product development team. And so we have products that work, but how do we make it better? Like that's the exciting stuff, right? How do we make it better? How do we improve? Continuous improvement is something that really energizes our team.
How many folks do you have just focused on R&D or like your R&D data AI teams?
I mean, still for us, pretty small, but 15, which is, for us, it was pretty much won before.
Right. So I want to ask two real quick. When you decided to move the headquarters from California back to Indiana, that's a massive, massive lift. How many people did you have to relocate?
So we didn't really relocate that many.
Okay.
We unfortunately had to close down quite a bit. So before we made the move, we had a lot of people from California ask to move to Indiana, which still blew my mind because you have lifelong California residents saying, "Can we please move to Indiana?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Are you sure?"
This is the innovation capital of the world, so it makes sense.
They love it. But I think that was an incredibly hard decision, but because of the people, and we had, like I talked about, we had people who had been with us a really long time. But it was costing us more money to deliver product to California from California than to make it in Indiana, ship it to California, and deliver it. It's astronomical. And it's just really hard to do business in California. So from a personnel perspective, that was the hardest business decision that we've made. But on the business side, it was an easy decision.
Yeah. So I want to move into like community and philanthropy and giving back and those kinds of things. I know you're very involved. You and Morgan are very involved. Lucas Oil has a long history of being involved in the community and talk about the importance, right, of giving back and being integrated. So Forrest grew up here, Corydon, makes his way to California. You make your way back. You have an incredible new headquarters up here in northern Indianapolis. Fun toys to look at. It's like so cool. So how did you think about, and this is all, it's what's unique to you and your family and personally, right? So how do you think about the critical importance of corporations and giving back to their community and how to set up, whether it's foundations? I know you've done a number of things, so I kind of want to tee that up for you to take that whichever direction first you want to go. You've done some amazing things.
Well, thank you. I said this before, I feel like we're on this earth to serve others. That's our purpose, and it's our responsibility when we're in these positions for however long that we are to help those around us. Yeah. And so that's just kind of, it's truly woven into our DNA at Lucas Oil. I personally believe in tithing, and so we also tithe as a company. That's part of our budget. It's in there. Yeah. And it's also just how we show up for our teammates and those in our community. And so, we offer a lot of opportunities for our teammates. We serve in a lot of areas and volunteer. It's what we're called to do. And it's not just personally, but it's also professionally.
And do you sit around as a family and think about here's 3 options or 10 options that we're thinking about, and we can't do everything that we want to do. And so what are some of those drivers that pull you to a certain type of philanthropy versus another?
It's really hard because there are a lot of great organizations that need help, right? It's easy to say no to the ones that aren't making a big impact or don't necessarily align, but there's a lot of really great organizations that we still have to say no to. So it's being intentional with our giving. That way we can make a bigger impact. And one of the things that has been really successful is we partner with organizations that we work with, like the Pacers or the Colts. We come together so we can make a bigger impact. So we look for those opportunities as well.
There's so much power in numbers.
Absolutely.
Right?
We can do so much more together.
Collaboration.
So much more together. We don't need the credit. I don't care who gets the credit. Let's just help our community. And that's the best way to do it, is with other people coming together.
That's amazing. What you want to talk about a few of those initiatives?
Yes. I think something that has been near and dear to our heart. So Ascension St. Vincent and Peyton Manning Children's Hospital, we have been supporting them for 18 years. It is just a fantastic hospital system. It goes well beyond taking care of the body, which they do very well. But it's the compassion and care. We saw that just when we would volunteer. Our time is how it started. And then, unfortunately, with just life events, we've been patients, our family's been patients, kids have been patients. So we have seen firsthand the care and compassion that not just the doctors, not just the nurses, but the staff, for heaven's sakes, the janitorial staff. When we were there for one stay, my oldest son had a very large brain cyst on the base of his brain, and he had a craniectomy, and it was I won't get into all that because I'll start crying. But just, I mean, I remember one of the janitorial staff just came in and she prayed, and just how she prayed over us. I was like, oh my word, like this place is special.
That's amazing.
This place is special.
There's so much power in prayer. We were talking a little bit before we started, right? I went through Rooted a couple of times, and you mentioned a curriculum is probably the wrong word, but freedom. It's certainly changed my life. Just taking a step back. What are there some initiatives that you're getting ready to roll out that are not secret that you can share with us?
Yeah, let's see. One of the things that we've recently done, I partnered with New Shoe Day. So they provide shoes to any child in need, which sounds, pretty simple, but I think it's something that we take for granted.
Yes.
So this is another instance where we partnered with New Shoe Day and then Wheeler Mission. And so we built a shoe bank with New Shoe Day. They knew what to do. We just provided the funds at Wheeler Mission. So now every single child that steps foot into Wheeler Mission gets a brand new name brand pair of tennis shoes. And one of the things that was so powerful about this initiative, so we went and did the ribbon cutting and we fitted all the kids with shoes. There were kids in shoes that had holes in them or 4 or 5 sizes too small. Just the joy on their faces for something that we take for granted every single day. I mean, these kids just lit up and they were like, these are going to make me run faster. And they start running through the hallways. It just something that was meant for someone else just brought us so much joy just seeing these kids and how appreciative and grateful they were for just one pair of shoes.
That's amazing. I love that. There was a gentleman named Manny. I can't remember Manny's last name. He was on, I think he might be on the podcast, but he's been in Indianapolis multiple times. He lives in North or South Carolina, but he started a shoe factory in Africa. And I'm forgetting the percentages, but it was a massive percentage of kids that don't have shoes in Africa. And he started this whole business plan where he'll manufacture the shoes, but the goal is not just to provide shoes to the kids throughout Africa, but it's also to set up a whole distribution network for other businesses. So to create for other people to start businesses to distribute those shoes. Genius. It's genius, right? Yes. And so like now you're building, not only providing shoes to children, but you're the ecosystem growth of entrepreneurship and opportunity and just, and all of that stuff just grows. Now you need some accountants and now you need some attorneys or whatever. Is really magical.
That's fantastic.
Well, time flies here on Innovate or Evaporate. It always goes way faster than I think it's going to go. But is there anything I haven't asked you about today that you want to share with folks?
I would just, I think when I was thinking about this, encourage people to continue learning, educating themselves, read all the time, find a mentor or ask someone that is out of your comfort zone. Ask someone that you look up to for coffee just to continue to learn. The power of mentorship and of just learning from others. There's so many people in my life, so many women in my life that I have learned from it's one of the biggest blessings in my life. So I would continue to encourage people to continue educating themselves, learning from others. And then I'm always going to say serve. I'm always going to say serve others. Find a way to serve others.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. Well, I have a few rapid fires.
Okay.
So this can be whatever you want. One word, or you say pass or whatever, or you can go on for how long you want. If there was one thing, I'll ask this question both ways and you can pick which way. If there's one thing that you think people should you maybe already just answered this, but if there's one thing you think people should start doing or stop doing, and it's outside of Lucas Oil, just in general in life, what would that be?
From business or personal?
Either one, whatever comes to your mind.
I think stop being afraid of change and what's coming. I see that a lot. Either if it's with technology, we touched on AI, that presents opportunity, right? We don't need to be scared. It's an opportunity to grow and to learn, and just embrace that change, right? That's the only constant in life is change. And I think we've seen a detriment to people when they are afraid of change. They kind of get left behind.
So if there is one thing that you think helps people disrupt themselves or embrace change or innovate, if there's one thing that you think people could do to help do that, what would that be?
Oh, that's a good question. I might pivot a little bit and understand like our purpose and our purpose in this world, right? Yeah. And not be afraid and know we're here for purpose and what your purpose is, right? And there's a reason we're in the positions that we're in, right? It's not by happenstance, I don't believe. And so I kind of go back to Esther 4:14. Perhaps you are made for such a time as this. So we're prepared to handle what's coming. We are in this position because I believe God put us in this position, right? And so what do we do with this? And I think it's really embracing that. While it can be scary, it's also empowering, right? It's a huge opportunity.
You just gave me chills. So I recently feel like I just learned about this kind of concept, purpose, identity, and role,
Mm-hmm.
And this idea of role is like, let's get back to purpose and identity. That's really powerful. I love that. Okay, last question. If you could wave a magic wand and fix any problem in the world, what would it be?
A lot, but I think one that we can fix is childhood hunger. I truly believe, especially, it should be very easy in the United States to fix that. There's so much excess waste, food. There has to be a way. One of the things I'm really excited about, I work with IU with some grants, and they're, these amazing smart students, much smarter than I was at that age, are creating these apps to do that, right? It's like, here's excess food, here's an event. There has to be a way that children can go to school on a full stomach and not be hungry. That is heartbreaking. Heartbreaking.
Yeah. It's it's all around us. It's not somewhere. It's right here.
It's not in a third world country. We drive 5 minutes and you can find a child that hasn't eaten today.
Yep.
It's awful.
Yeah, that starts with everything, right? They can't learn. It's hard to focus, etc. I love that. Katie, this has been amazing.
Thank you very much
anything
for your
else?
time.
No,
I very much appreciate your time. It's an honor
this
to
is
be
great.
on here.
So how do people find Lucas Oil? I want to go buy some product. Where do I go?
Any automotive store, also Amazon, Walmart, all the favorites online, right? We're seeing a big uptick in online purchases, but any automotive store.
Is there a new product getting ready to come out? Any teasers?
Yes, but
can't tease it yet?
Not yet. Not
Okay.
quite yet. Not quite yet.
All right, we'll have to talk about that another day.
Yes.
All right, well, Katie Lucas, president of Lucas Oil. And until next time, we'll see you soon on Innovate or Evaporate.